And I hope you had some Stoli vodka last night during the game, Mike, because that was the only way that you could continue watching it.
You know what? It was tough. There comes a time when you're up against it, and the Bruins have met this time. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good, and I'm not sure what the remedy is for turning this thing around, if there is one.
I don't want to be that guy, but I don't think there's any way you win 4 of the remaining 5 against this team. They're too good of a hockey team.
You don't want to be that guy, but you just were.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you.
Well, let's just start at the beginning. I can't blame Olmark, but I can't praise him either. There hasn't been anything. He's not stealing a game. The other kid in goal who made 30 saves after he comes off the bench after the starting goaltender gets hurt was terrific, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought they were outplayed in goal. I thought their defense was outplayed. I mean, I saw a little flash from McAvoy, but not much more than that. I thought D'Angelo was great. I thought Slavin was great. I thought they were a better defensive unit. And up front, I mean, Aho looked like a stud. Niederreiter has come to play for the Hurricanes. And, I'm not seeing much from Marchand. Bergeron got lucky on his second goal, but I mean, when you're leaning on a guy that's almost 37 years old, you're in trouble. They're down the line, every position. They've been outplayed, and I don't see how that turns around so dramatically that they can get back in this. But, hey, that's why they play the games.
How much of it do you put on the coach?
Not. I mean, I don't like some of the decisions that he's made, but I think that the talent is in favor of the Hurricanes right now. We've talked about this since we started talking on this show, and I've been concerned about Marchand and Bergeron nearing the end of their careers and slowing down, and I think we're seeing that now. I think you see Aho with energy. You see all the guys on the Hurricanes that have much more, I think, oomph and speed and really peskiness than the Bruins have right now. And they look like they're, they need an overhaul. And I've talked about that from the beginning of the season, and I think it's still true.
So, Mike, if you feel like it is talent, then because we've been talking about, well, is it Cassidy, is it Sweeney? Does then that make you look at, okay, maybe this team needs a whole overall, not just in players, but from the top down, starting with Sweeney?
Well, I thought he made a pretty good trade with Lindholm at the end of the day, but I didn't like the way they approached the start of the season. I thought they were trying to hang on to something that it was too late for. So when you have a team that looks like it's going to go out in the first round and does go out in the first round, if that's what happens, everybody's under scrutiny. Everyone. It has to be. When you're an organization that really thinks it should be, competing for a championship on a fairly regular basis, and you go into this season thinking you can do it again, and then make a big deal at the trading deadline and fall flat like it appears they're going to fall right now. I think all bets are off.
I assume you're like most everybody else and on team clean hit last night, as much as it may have been disappointing for us.
Well, I was disappointed that there was even any discussion at all about its legality. It was a tremendous hit. It was well-timed. Whenever you hit somebody on the follow-through, your arms will often come up, but that doesn't mean you led with your arms. That's just a sort of the natural inclination of a player that goes in and hits with his shoulder, and then it looks like at the end your arms come up, but it's a follow through. I thought it was a terrific hit.
That's the principal. That's the principal contact thing, right?
Right. That's right. If you make contact with a head on first impact, then you're in trouble. But this wasn't the case. I mean, this was just. I mean, if we're looking at that as a problem, then we might as well just switch to tiddlywinks.
Well, Mike, it was clear that his bell was wrong, though. Do you think that they could get him back by tomorrow?
My medical my medical opinions aren't really called for here, but I have no idea. I mean, usually a hit like that, I have no idea. But they're going to be cautious, and the rules are the rules now, and it's too bad because he's a critical player. Although I don't think in the first two games he was making as much of an impact as I thought he would.
Mike, you alluded to this a little bit, saying that Linus, he hasn't done anything great, but he hasn't done anything bad. So moving forward here, Game 3, can you see Cassidy maybe making a change? And if so, is that the right thing to do, or is that the wrong thing to do?
Well, they have been totally dominated in the first two games. I mean, they had two decent starts, good starts, but you don't call them great starts if you can't score a goal. I mean, that's great. You're going into the playoffs in the first round and you're playing against a good team. You better be ready, but you have to find a way to put the puck in the back of the net. They didn't do that. They have been, again, outplayed all the way along the line. Yeah, he better do something. He better change the goaltender or do something dramatically with the lines, because if he doesn't, it's almost accepting defeat. And, the goaltenders from Ranta and Kochetkov, they were better goaltenders than Olmark was in the first two games. And so maybe Swayman isn't the answer, but somehow you got to look for one. And I think it's incumbent upon Cassidy to look for an answer. And my probably easiest play would be to change the goaltender and hope he can steal a game.
Speaking of goaltending, did having a goaltender as good as Tuukka was cover up a lot of deficiencies on this team in retrospect? There's different eras now. It's been a couple of years since Tuukka was here, and Chara's gone, and other things have turned around. Krejci's gone. I think it's unfair to make that assessment, but he clearly was a good goaltender. But let's not put him on the pedestal that some have done and put him in the Hall of Fame. But I don't think goaltending is the reason that the Bruins are in this predicament. But I think goaltending could be a reason to get them out of it, and that choice would be, for me, Swayman and not Ullmark, because I think he's more athletic, maybe a little bit more competitive. And right now, what other answer do they have?
When it comes to the goalies on the other side, and you talk about David Pastrnak, where is David Pastrnak right now? What's going on with him? And do you agree with the reports, people thinking that he's been intentionally targeting the goalies?
No. I mean, his collision last night was really nothing. There was just, in fact, he was trying to excuse himself after the play. I didn't like Pasternak's play along the wall. I think it was the second goal when, he had a wraparound that he should have fielded, and he just sort of bailed out on any kind of contact. And this, you got to get down and dirty in the playoffs, and Pastrnak is not doing that right now. He's been, listen, I wish he'd run the goaltenders more often. I mean, that's what the playoffs are all about. Try to get in there and crowd the goaltender and make sure he can't see the puck. Make sure you get yourself in position on the wall to field a wraparound and exit the zone. They're getting beat in the gritty areas, not just the finesse areas.
I know there are games to play, but this may unfortunately be the last time we talk to you this season. So I'm going to ask this. When you talk about overhaul or what you do, if you get bounced in this first round from an organizational perspective, what do you do?
Well, first of all, let's save that for the post-mortem, but I do believe that, they were facing these issues before this playoff season began. I believe they were facing major issues when your key guys are as old as Bergeron and Marchand are. There are things that you need to consider doing in order to make your team turn around. And right now, having missed an opportunity earlier in the year, maybe to make some major changes, it might be very much tougher. But we'll save that for the end. But, we've talked about this group. They are a plucky group. They find a way to come back and fight through some things. And
I hope that's what we'll see in the next couple of games at home.
Mike, I just wanted to get your point of view, your grading, if you will, the fight on Monday between the Maple Leafs and Lightning, kind of an old-time fight, if you will, a brawl.
Well, what do you think I'm going to say about that, Courtney? I don't get that excited that often anymore at my age, but this is what I miss about hockey. I miss that we don't have that. It's too bad, and I know the reasons why, and head injuries and all that kind of stuff. But if you watch the fans when a fight occurs like that, there's a excitement and an interest level that goes beyond anything that happens in most other parts of the game. So, yeah, I thought it was color me happy.
There was a good one, Stars Flames, the other night. Raffle got some good punches in the other night. I mean, there are teams that are absolutely not following the no fighting in the playoffs trend. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to give them all a star for that.
Yeah,
It's the only sport where you can do that.
yeah. All right, Mike.
Yeah, it is, and that's what that's what does separate us in some ways. I mean, it's fast, it's creative, it's you can't do the things you do in football like set up plays or basketball the same way. It's constant movement, it's constant. You're on the individual's ability to make something happen, and then when you make something happen when it's physical, it does make a statement, and it's fun to see it when it happens, and it doesn't happen often enough for me.
Well, listen, I hope we're talking to you next week about this series being all tied up or being different. But it's been great having you on this season, and we'll cross our fingers and hope we talk to you next Thursday.
Wow, what a pessimist you are!
I know. I'm just. I don't know how you. I don't understand. I don't know how you can come back against this team. You said it earlier. They're faster than you. They're more physical than you. They appear to want it more than you do.
Their goalie's playing better than yours.
You couldn't beat them in the regular season. I mean, I don't know how. I don't understand how you win 4 out of 5 against this team.
Well, I will say this. The coach does have to come up with a strategy. It's got to be maybe not just a goaltender change, but you have to give them a reason to believe that they can come back. And that is definitely on Bruce Cassidy right now. And what that strategy is up to him. But they can't go the same. They can't follow the same path and think they're going to have a different result.
Somebody needs to get a couple of these Hurricanes guys in an elevator and do what you do to fans in elevators.
I agree.
All right, Mike Milbury, thank you.
We'll talk to you next week, maybe.
I hope so. Cross your fingers.